Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Das ändert jetzt alles. So we are reading from, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 12, text number 8. I prepared for 9, so... No, because today's Friday. Tomorrow, I already gave the verse to someone else, 9. Because that's the sequence, no? Today's supposed to be 8. It's okay. It's a long purport, and maybe I can...
It's supposed to be 9, but Keshan 1 probably did the previous.
No. On the list, it was supposed to be 7 yesterday.
Okay.
So today is 8 and it's okay. So we have it on the board. Yadakshitaveva characharasya Yadakshitaveva characharasya Vidamanishtam prabhavam cha nityam Vidamanishtam prabhavam cha nityam Tannamatonyad vyavaharamulam Tannamatonyad vyavaharamulam Nirupyatam satkriyayanumeyam Nirupyatam satkriyayanumeyam Yadakshitaveva characharasya Vidamanishtam prabhavam cha nityam Tannamatonyad vyavaharamulam Nirupyatam satkriyayanumeyam. Please chant. Tannamatonyad vyavaharamulam Nirupyatam satkriyayanumeyam. Yada, therefore, kshito, in the earth, eva, certainly, characharasya, of different bodies, some moving and some not moving. Vidama, we know. Nishtam, annihilation. Prabhavam, appearance. Cha, and. Nityam, regularly by the principles of nature. Tat, that. Namataha, then simply by name. Anyat, other. Vyavaharamulam, cause of material activities. Nirupyatam, let it be ascertained. Satkriyaya, by actual employment. Anumeyam, to be inferred. How do you say? Inferred. To be inferred. Okay. To be inferred. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. All of us on the surface of the globe are living entities in different forms. Some of us are moving and some not moving. All of us come into existence. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Shishi Gaurnitai Ki Jai. I start again. There was some transcendental distraction. All of us on the surface of the globe are living entities in different forms. Some of us are moving and some not moving. All of us come into existence, remain for some time, and are annihilated when the body is again mingled with the earth. We are all simply different transformations of the earth. Different bodies and capacities are simply transformations of the earth that exists in name only. For everything grows out of the earth, and when everything is annihilated, it again mingles with the earth. In other words, we are but dust, and we shall but be dust. Everyone can consider this point. Purport. In the Brahma Sutra it is said, Tat anantyatvam arambhambana shabda tibhyaha. This cosmic manifestation is a mixture of matter and spirit, but the cause is the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.20 it is said, Idam hi vishvam bhagavan ivetaraha. The entire cosmic manifestation is but a transformation of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but because of illusion, no one can appreciate that God is non-different from the material world. Actually, He is not different, but this material world is simply a transformation of His different energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. There are also other versions of this in the Vedas. Sarvam Kalv Idam Brahma. Matter and spirit are all non-different from the Supreme Brahman, Bhagavan. Lord Sri Krishna confirms this statement in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4. Me bhinna prakritir ashtadha. The material energy is Krishna's energy, but is separated from Him. The spiritual energy is also His energy, but it is not separated from Him. When the material energy is engaged in the service of the Supreme Spirit, so-called material energy is also transformed into spiritual energy, just as an iron rod becomes fire when placed in contact with fire. When we can understand by an analytical study that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, our knowledge is perfect. Simply understanding the transformations of different energies is partial knowledge. We must come to the ultimate cause. Nate vidu svarta katim hi vishnum. The knowledge of those who are not interested in knowing the original cause of all emanations is never perfect knowledge. There is nothing in the phenomenal world that is not produced by the supreme energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aromas from the earth are different scents, manufactured and used for different purposes, but the original cause is the earth, nothing else. A water pot made of earth can be used to carry water for some time, but ultimately the pot is nothing but earth. Therefore, there is no difference between the pot and its original ingredient, earth. It is simply a different transformation of the energy. Originally, the cause or primary ingredient is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. and the varieties are only byproducts. In the Chandogya Upanishad it is stated, Yatha somyakena mritpindena sarvam mrinmayam vigyatam syat vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mritiketyeva satyam. If one studies the earth, he naturally understands the byproducts of the earth. The Vedas therefore enjoin, Yasmin vigyate sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati. If one simply understands the original cause, Krishna, the cause of all causes, then naturally everything else is understood, although it may be presented in different varieties. By understanding the original cause of different varieties, one can understand everything. If we understand Krishna, the original cause of everything, we do not need to separately study the subsidiary varieties. Therefore, from the very beginning, it is said, Satyam Param Dhimahi. One has to concentrate one's understanding on the supreme truth, Krishna or Vasudev. The word Vasudev indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes. Matstani sarvabhutani na chaham tish avastitaha. This is a summary of phenomenal and noumenal philosophy. The phenomenal world depends on the noumenal existence. Similarly, everything exists by virtue of the potency of the Supreme Lord, although due to our ignorance, the Supreme Lord is not perceived in everything. End of the purport. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tvang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutang Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatta Deshatarine. Okay, I think I can still use what I've prepared, the little I prepared. Just read the verse one more time. Yadakshitave vacharacharasya vidamanishtam prabhavam cha nityam tannamato nyadvyavahara moolam nirupyatam satkriyayanumeyam. All of us on the surface of the globe are living entities in different forms. Some of us are moving and some not moving. All of us come into existence, remain for some time, and are annihilated when the body is again mingled with the earth. We are all simply different transformations of the earth. Different bodies and capacities are simply transformations of the earth, that exist in name only. For everything grows out of the earth, and when everything is annihilated, it again mingles with the earth. In other words, we are but dust, and we shall but be dust. Everyone can consider this point. Hare Krishna. So thank you for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class this morning. It's a very simple point that is made here. Everyone can consider this point, that our body is a transformation of the earth element, and it has come out of the earth in a very complex way. The earth produces food. The food initially has been taken by our mother, and that has become our body. And now we eat ourselves vegetables and fruits and grains, and this is making our body. It's coming from the earth. And when we die, then our body gets burnt and it becomes ash, which becomes earth. And sometimes they put the whole body in the ground with the coffin, and that also becomes earth again. Or then there is one more example, when the body is eaten by animals, and then they pass stool, and that becomes earth. Everyone can consider this point. It's a simple point. We are all just made out of earth, and our body will become earth again. Yes. Srila Prabhupada gives quite an extensive purport, and he speaks about the simple truth that Krishna is the cause of all causes. So we perceive so many varieties, Hare Krishna, and we are in the material world. There is so many different manifestations, and we don't see what's beneath this material energy. He quotes this Binna Prakriti Rashada, that Krishna actually says that this is all my energy. Bhumi Rapo Nalova Yur Kammano Bhudireva Cha Ahankaram Ityang Me Binna Prakritir Ashtadaha. How everything we perceive is an energy, a manifestation of Krishna. And Prabhupada quotes many verses from different scriptures to establish this point. When we speak about Krishna as the person who is all-pervading and the cause of all causes, Prabhupada says, then we use the word Vasudev. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, that person who sees that actually everything is Vasudev. Everything is Vasudev. There is nothing separate from Vasudev. That person is a great soul. Now we don't see like that because we are covered by Maya, and Maya is showing us things in a perverted way, and we don't see how this is actually Vasudev. And therefore we act in a wrong way. And Srila Prabhupada makes one statement in the purport. When we can understand by an analytical study that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, our knowledge is perfect. Simply understanding the transformations of different energies is partial knowledge. How do we come to that point where we actually understand that everything is Krishna? By analytical study. And I was preparing for the next verse. In the next verse, and we have Jagannath Priya Prabhu coming tomorrow. He's a really wonderful speaker. I hope he will speak about the Sat Darshan. I will speak a little bit, but it could be that he will speak a bit about this, because I know he has a lot of understanding about the 6 philosophies. Who has heard of these 6 philosophies, Sat Darshan? No? Good, then we can speak about it today. I was just briefly going through a class of Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He used to sometimes present that, and I had to freshen it up. So the Vedic scriptures, they are divided into 3 khandas, 3 different khanda means branches. So 3 different categories: karma, jnana, and bhakti. So these are 3 categories of knowledge, and the Vedas as a whole, which is like a circle, and then you divide the circle into 3 pieces. One is karma, one is jnana, and one is bhakti. The karma means the karma kanda section. You have heard that term. The karma kanda section, as the name itself indicates, it explains the law of karma. And Guru Maharaj, he says, the Vedas are not saying don't enjoy. The Vedas say if you want to enjoy, enjoy. Here is how you can enjoy. And then the karma kanda section will explain to you how you can achieve your goals, your material goals. And the Vedas say that everything in this world, whatever you like, you can have it. You can even become Indra, the king of heaven. But you have to follow a certain process, the karma kanda process. And then you can achieve everything. Guru Maharaj gives this example that, let's say I want to be rich and I go and rob a bank. This is not karma kanda, because it's not going to lead you. You will eventually be arrested, put into jail, you have to pay a fine, whatever. So it's not helping you. So the Vedas, they give you a way, okay, you want to become rich, that's the way how you can become rich. And then for everything you want, if you want to become beautiful, you want to have a beautiful wife, a handsome husband, you want to be intelligent, you want to have your own planet, you want to have an airplane that can fly in the whole universe, everything you can have. You just need to follow the process. So that's the karma kanda section. The problem with the karma kanda section is, which Krishna points out in the Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, I just lost the... That Krishna says this place from the bottom to up, Brahma Bhuvanaloka, is a place of suffering. Tukalayam ashashvatam. Tukalayam ashashvatam. It's unlimited miseries. So the karma kanda section, even though it gives you the possibility to fulfill all your desires, it should lead you to the point that you understand that this will not make me happy ultimately. Even if I have the highest position in the universe, it's not gonna make me really fulfill me. And on the other hand, even though you have a very high exalted position, still you will suffer, because this material world is just meant for suffering. Guru Maharaj then also often gives this example of, he makes the point that why is this place called Tukalayama Shashvatam? Because our body, meaning our existence, which is based on our body, the body is meant to give you suffering. And he says, just take a part of your body, take this earlobe, and think of how many ways you can give pain to this part. I think I told that before. So he said, you can take a stone and smash it. You can take fire and burn it. You can take a knife and cut it. You can put it in a very cold environment and freeze it. So many ways. And then think of in how many ways you can give pleasure to that earlobe. Almost no. And that's the proof that this body is not meant to receive happiness, but to receive suffering. So then there comes the Jnana Kanda section. The Jnana means the knowledge. And in the Jnana, there is what I would like to present. There is different philosophies in the Vedas called the Shat Darshan. Shat means 6, and Darshan means seeing. So 6 ways how you can see reality by different methods of philosophy. And it starts with the first one of Nyaya. Nyaya means logic. So that's exactly the point of logic. Okay, this body is an instrument of suffering. You use your logic. Okay, I think about my body and I conclude, actually, it's not really, I'm not really meant to become happy here with this body. That's, of course, very condensed, but Nyaya means to use your logic to analyze what's happening around you. And when one concludes that, okay, this place is a place of suffering, then the next philosophy that comes is called Vaisheshika. Vaisheshika analyzes this material nature. And we hear tomorrow about, let me just see, Paramanavo. So tomorrow in the verse we hear about atomic particles. And the Vaisheshika philosophy, one of its essential practices is to analyze material nature to the point to see that everything is made out of atoms. So what we call as the atom science, that's already a long time ago in the Vedas. It's nothing new. It's called Paramanu, yeah, in the scriptures. And they know that everything is ultimately, if you look at the material world, you break it up, you will see ultimately it's just a small particle. Of course, the problem comes if the scientists who study atoms think then that's the ultimate. And this we hear tomorrow, that the atom is, even though it's very minute and it's maybe the smallest thing science can perceive, of course now we also hear about the quantum, but it's not, there is much more behind. So as long as the conclusion doesn't come behind this Vasudev, then it's a imperfect understanding. But the Vaisheshika philosophy is pointing out that everything is basically made out of atoms. Then it will lead to the next philosophy called Sankhya. Sankhya you must have heard. And even Krishna speaks about Sankhya, the verse I quoted. He condenses the Sankhya into 8, Ashtada. But if you can, the Sankhya means you have, everything is matter, but then you make you make categories out of it. Okay, we have solid matter, earth, bhumir. Okay, we have liquid matter, water. We have gas matter, air. What else? We have energy, fire. And we have space. And of course then comes the subtle, which is not so much acknowledged in the Western science as an element, but the Vedas, they say, okay, then you have mano, buddhir, ahankar. But these can be expanded. They can be condensed, or not condensed. They can be combined, kind of. There is a word. Yeah, combined maybe, and they can be expanded. And if you expand them, you come to 24 elements. And by doing the Sankhya philosophy, then ultimately the conclusion will come, okay, we have all these different forms of matter, but then there is something which is conscious, something which is perceiving, something which is subjective. We are seeing all these things, but what is it that sees the matter, that experiences the matter? And then the Sankhya philosophy establishes the existence of the soul. The final element, which is spiritual. And it will see how all the living entities, they have this minute spirit spark inside, which is this consciousness. And by coming to that conclusion, the understanding comes that, okay, the soul is minute, and there is many small souls, and that means there must be a source of that soul. There must be some origin. And that leads to the next philosophy called yoga, meaning the Ashtanga yoga, basically. The yoga philosophy, which then tries to connect this small soul to the Supreme, to the source. And it goes through the 8 stages. Yama, meaning you have activities that you perform. Niyama, you regulate yourself. Then asana, you do yoga practices, pranayama, breathing practices. And when you always come to a perfection of this stage, then you start to meditate. So pratyahar is then the first one. The yogi will invert the senses, pratyahar, so that the senses don't flow out anymore into the world, but they go inside. And then the meditation starts. Dhyana, dharana, and ultimately samadhi. And samadhi then is the point where the soul realizes that who is the Supreme. In samadhi, the soul encounters God in the heart and will surrender to Him. Because he will understand that I am a small particle of God and it is my duty to surrender. And then from there, bhakti starts. There's 2, so I spoke Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, and Yoga. These are 4. And I have to admit that Purva Mimamsa, he didn't include that in his discussion. I'm not sure where to place it. But then the Uttara Mimamsa, that's basically, Yoga leads them to the Uttara Mimamsa, which means the final conclusion. And the Uttara Mimamsa are the Upanishads, all these scriptures which give you the final understanding of who you are and who God is and what the goal of life is. And from there, Jnana Kanda, Bhakti starts. Because then one realizes, okay, I have a loving relationship, and then Bhakti starts. Now this process, this Shat Darshan process, it's a bona fide process in the Vedas to lead one to the ultimate perfection by jnana, by cultivation of knowledge. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadramaya ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. So this jnana process is the bona fide process. But what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Anyone remembers? No, in Bhagavad Gita, he gives 2 different ways how one can make spiritual advancement. He says, okay, you can do bhakti or you can do jnana. Isn't it? And what does he say about jnana? The path of jnana?
It's very difficult.
Very difficult, yeah. I try to find that verse. Let's see if I find it. Here. Klesho dikatarastesham avyaktasakta chetasam avyaktahi gatir dukam deha vatpir avapyate. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Purport. The group of transcendentalists who follow the path of the inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord are called Jnana Yogis, and persons who are in full Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional service to the Lord, are called Bhakti Yogis. Now here the difference between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is definitely expressed. The process of Jnana Yoga, although ultimately bringing one to the same goal, is very troublesome, whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is easier and is natural for the embodied soul. The individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, the Bhakti Yogi accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form within the temple is not idol worship. There is evidence in the Vedic literature that worship may be saguna or nirguna, of the Supreme possessing or not possessing attributes. Worship of the deity in the temple is saguna worship, for the Lord is represented by material qualities. But the form of the Lord, though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. It's troublesome way because we have a body, and you need to go through yoga. Yoga is really difficult one. Yoga is not what we think is yoga as nowadays in the yoga studio. This is just some perverted, incomplete form. Yoga is a very, very troublesome path, and it's impossible for us to practice because one has to go to a secluded place. And one has to give up all kinds of sense enjoyment, all kinds of bodily pleasure. So we have yam, niyam, asan. Yam, niyam is already you restricting yourself greatly. Krishna. That's how one wakes up a sleeping devotee in Bhagavatam class. So yam, niyam, you restrict yourself, and then comes asana. And of course we know asana in the yoga studio, but asana, they really do asana for hours a day. And then what's the perfection of asana? When they can sit like this for hours. No, when we sit like this, after 20 minutes, we need to change. Maybe 30 minutes. We need to change, it's so painful. But asana means you come to the point where you can sit 24 hours like this. You don't feel any pain anymore. That means asana. And then when they do that, they start to do pranayam. And pranayam is also not just, there's this... We do that, I do it. Or then there's this. That's pranayam. It's pranayam, but it's not how pranayam should conclude. Pranayam. How does pranayam conclude? If you stop breathing. Pranayam means you stop breathing. So because the breath is controlling our thoughts. So as long as you are breathing, your mind will be reeling. Your mind will. So then in yoga, they stop breathing, and in this way, the consciousness becomes still. Why are you laughing? So you remember how Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, then they offer the inhaling into the exhaling and the exhaling into the inhaling, and in this way they stop breathing. That's pranayam. So, and only then they start to meditate. Who can do that? I can't, and maybe someone of you. So therefore, this process is not really, will not bring us to the goal. It's at least not in this age. And therefore, there is a special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he gave immediate access to bhakti by the simple process of the Sankirtan Yagya. And how does one get bhakti? How can we start bhakti? It's by the mercy of a devotee. So now here we had this way, okay, you have to go through the whole thing. You need to enjoy, and you enjoy as much until you're frustrated, and then you start jnana. And then you go through the whole process, and then once you see the Lord in your heart, then you start bhakti. It's a very long process. It takes usually lifetimes of elevating yourself. But bhakti means you can start immediately. Why? Because the mercy of a devotee who is immediately giving you access. In the Madhurya Kadambini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that bhakti is not given by Krishna. Bhakti is given by a devotee. So it's the devotee's mercy who gives this special access. And of course, Mahaprabhu, he came as a devotee. Krishna is a devotee. He's showing that example, how a devotee is so magnanimous, he will give bhakti to others. That's his whole aim. There is this beautiful verse in the Gopikita, Tava katamritam tapta jivanam. Tava katamritam tapta jivanam. Kavibiriditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam Srimad Atatam Bhuvi Grinanti Yeburi Dajana. That the devotee is so merciful that he just wants to distribute Krishna consciousness because he can see everyone is suffering in this world, and he knows that Krishna consciousness is like a shower of nectar which extinguishes the forest fire we are in. So the devotee is the one who is giving that special access to bhakti, and one doesn't have to go through the whole process. And then Mahaprabhu came to give that, and Srila Prabhupada, of course, he became the foremost agent of Mahaprabhu, spreading it all over the world. And then there is another consideration, that not only is it some form of bhakti, but it's the highest form of bhakti. Usually bhakti that was available would lead one to Vaikuntha, where one worships the Lord, in a similar way by getting understanding about Krishna, then one starts to worship him in awe and reverence. Oh, God is so great, I'm so small, I need to worship him. And that leads one to Vaikuntha. But Mahaprabhu came to give prema bhakti, uttama prema bhakti, meaning the highest form of love, which is madhurya, which is intimate. which is cultivated by a process of spontaneous devotional service. And this is Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtan. It's coming from another place in the spiritual world. It's not Vaikuntha only, it's Goloka, the highest place where the devotees, they are having a spontaneous love. They are not in awe and reverence, but they are spontaneously, intimately serving the Lord. And from there, Golokera Premadana, Harinama Sankirtan. From there, this process came of Harinam Sankirtan. It's the process of Goloka Vrindavan, of spontaneously feeling the desire to glorify Krishna. That's what they do in Vrindavan all the time. They speak about Krishna. Everyone in different groups, about different aspects, different topics. And it manifests in this world as Harinam Sankirtan, chanting the holy name, hearing, speaking Bhagavatam. And so that form, that's what Mahaprabhu came to give, and Prabhupada made available. That by practicing Sankirtan Yagya, we have a shortcut to the highest place. Elevator, yes. No need to go the stairs, but you go elevator. Hare Krishna. So, thank you for your attention. If anyone has any comment or question, yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prasad, for the lecture. I wanted, through your explanation, I just wanted to ask you, like this verse.
You want to take that? Maybe someone is listening online.
This verse, we were listening 2-3 times, and it was saying several times, we are coming from earth, we are going to earth, we are dust, we are becoming dust. So is it that this kind of knowledge is Gyan? First, that's my question. Is that considered to be Gyan process that Krishna explains that it's difficult for us, maybe for this age? Because when I listen this kind of knowledge, I cannot completely identify. That doesn't give me any peace, doesn't give me any, how to say, it even frightens me in the sense, probably because of identification. But is it that this is the process that Krishna explains that is difficult for us, because process of bhakti is completely different. We just engage this body without so much thinking of we are dust, we are earth, we are coming. So my confusion about accepting this kind of knowledge, I cannot accept it very easily, maybe because it's not process for this age, or maybe it's because of strong identification. It frightens me, and on the stage that I'm now, I cannot identify with this kind of knowledge that this verse is speaking about. Is it that Gyan? Or what it is?
I mean, here we have King Jadabharat speaking to King Rahugana, and Jadabharat naturally is a devotee, so he's not trying to give you Rahugana Jnana Yoga, but he wants to make him a devotee. But karma and jnana, they are not excluded in bhakti, meaning we perform activities and we cultivate knowledge. It's just important that it's not covering bhakti, like Rupa Goswami says. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam. That it's not anukulena krishnashilam bhakti ruttama. That jnana and karma are not a problem as long as they are not covering. And jnana is important knowledge. Like Krishna is also saying to Arjuna initially to give him lift him up. Hey, dehinasmin yata dehe komrang yovanam charat tatade antara praktiya dhiras tatra namuyati. You are not this body. You're just walking through these stages and you will have another body after. So one could say this is jnana. It is jnana, but it leads to bhakti. And one particular point which is mentioned by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is that what are you going to do with that? Are you just going to sit down now and practice austerity, and in this way practice I'm not this body? Or are you going to act like a soul and serve the Lord? The one is negative, okay, I'm not this body, so let me neglect the body. And the other one is positive, okay, I'm a servant of the Lord, let me do something for him. And that we know is susukam kartumavayam. If we practice, if we engage the body in the service, it's blissful. And the other one is what Krishna means, it's very troublesome because we have a body. How can I like to eat good food. I like to smell nice things, I like to touch nice things, I like to see nice things, hear nice things. So if I'm going to just neglect everything, negate everything, I'm just going to be suffering. Because up to the point, until I see the Lord face to face, I'm just suffering. But Bhakti Yoga is different. From the first point, you take prasadam, you hear some nice philosophy, you hear nice kirtan, you see the Lord, and it's blissful. Susukam kartum vayam. So in that sense, when we hear these things, it should just give us an impetus, I would say, to practice Krishna consciousness. That, okay, I'm dust. Like, if I like to eat samosas, and now I just say, okay, this is just dust, I'm just dust, I'm not going to eat the samosa. It's troublesome, but if I say, okay, it's dust, but I like it. It's a manifestation of Krishna, you know? It's, even though it's temporary, but I can offer it to the Lord. And it has a nice taste. And he will be pleased that after I will accept. And if I keep in mind that this is all Krishna's energy, then it's... So, and this can be probably applied to everything in life. That instead of, oh, I'm just dust, and then you just sit in the corner and don't do anything and become dust. You use the dust and do something for Krishna, and at the same time you also be happy. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes.
But the trick is not to forget Krishna, and that's where we have to see, you know, how can I keep Krishna in my mind? Yes, probably.
So, when the material energy is engaged in the service of the Supreme Spirit, so-called material energy
It's
is
transformed.
also transformed into spiritual energy. So, when the material energy is engaged in the service of the Supreme Spirit, so-called material energy is also transformed into spiritual energy.
Yeah.
Just as the iron rod becomes fire when placed in contact with fire.
That's the answer to his question.
Is it?
Yeah? Or you want to say something else?
No, I just find it very inspiring.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, like, do you have any other proper metaphors that come to mind, like when you explain that process, or actually whatever you use, it becomes like spiritual?
Yeah, there is one more that comes to my mind, which he takes from Jiva Goswami, I believe, how like there's persons who work with metals and they transform metal into gold. Alchemists. So then he says the spiritual master is like an alchemist. He transforms a conditioned living entity into a liberated soul, a servant of the Lord, by the process of initiation. Yes. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, thank you for your lecture and the discussion. Just one thought came to my mind. I was at the program yesterday, and Maharaj was telling that we could either go slowly to Krishna or very quick, and it's actually depending on us how fast we can go towards Krishna, and then Krishna will reciprocate. And then I was completely conscious about what this body actually is. Otherwise, we will never turn to Krishna. And as you mentioned also in the verse, that this place is really a place of suffering. And for me, this shows it very strongly. Like, this body's there, just dust and come and go. And only if we really understand that we don't belong here and we don't want to be here, we can actually turn to Krishna. But then it actually starts. So it's very beautiful how everything comes together. We are starting with knowledge, but then takes you further to devotional service.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Have a nice day. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam.